Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Very fine.
Yeah? Okay, good. I've been having trouble with my computer. So let's wait a couple more minutes and to give people time to get on. If you haven't done so already, if you can please go ahead and sign in the chat and let us know what organization you're representing today. That would be great. We have a busy meeting today. We have a speaker that's going to talk about Behave Health today, Ben Weiss. Looking forward for him talking to you guys about what's going on with RECAP. And then we have a couple people from the Fletcher group. They're going to talk after that. But I wanted to start off the meeting with introducing the operator of the month. So the operator of this month is Bear River, Jackie. So Jackie, would you like to take just a couple minutes and tell us about your program?
Yeah, thank you so much, Catherine. This is wow, what an honor to be nominated for this and stuff. So my name is Jackie. I'm the Director of Michigan Services for Bear River Health. We are located way in northern Michigan. They call it God's country. Um, we started housing, recovery housing. Oh gosh, I think we opened up our first house. I believe it was about 3 or 4 years ago. And we gutted, renovated, beautified everything in the houses and scroll forward 3, 4 years. And we now have 5 operational houses. We have a total of 64 beds in northern Michigan. And then we have some housing in Mount Pleasant that we just opened up in June. And we actually have 2 more that we're working on bringing online up here in northern Michigan. Also, it is amazing watching the growth in these houses and watching the clients succeed. And I literally went and just visited all the houses the other day because I hadn't been there in a minute. My housing coordinator has been doing all of that for me. And like all of them are like our children. Like I love watching them grow. So yeah, we have a really intricate program. When they're in the houses, they have a rigorous clinical requirement to follow. Catherine came in and did our inspections this year and gave me some really good ideas for the houses to kind of make them more personalized in their spaces. So we've those and it's been really good. It's
Great. You're way up north. You're freezing up on us here and there. You're muted, Jackie.
I am actually going to switch over to my hotspot because my Wi-Fi seems to be clunking out on me today.
Well, congratulations. It was a pleasure seeing your programs. And I always appreciate going to see an operator's homes and know that you're meeting the NAR standards and the expectations. And it was really nice to see you hands-on. I know that's not normally the role that you would be playing, but it was a pleasure doing the site reviews with you in person. And I know you're very passionate about what you do. And it's a big reason why your homes run the way they do. So thank you. Appreciate it, Jackie. I'm going to introduce Kelly Darren with RECAP. And Kelly, go ahead. You're going to introduce the next speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. So I am excited to be able to introduce to you Ben Weiss. He is the CEO and founder of the Behave Health program that we have spoken about in the last few meetings that MARR will be transitioning over to, as well as Jen Spangler. She is the VP of Customer Success for Behave as well. So these are the folks that are going to help us transition over to the ERM system, to the Behave Health system. So with that, Ben or Jen, whichever would like to go first, if you could take it away for us, please.
Yep. Yep, I'm Ben. Nice to meet you all. A lot of people on here. I'm sure I'll get to meet everybody over time. Jen, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and then I'll do a little bit of a demo? I don't know how much time you guys blocked off for us.
Half hour.
Okay, perfect. Plenty of time. Jen, you want to?
I just want to say hello. It's nice to see faces. I've met some of you through emails and things over the years, but it's nice to be a part of this. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you all. And then so this is, your meeting. So happy to like take questions. I'm sure that there might be some questions and please feel free to ask. You'll be seeing a lot of us with the way we did the onboardings previously in other states. We really want to be available. So because I know that things you might look at our software in the middle of the night and have questions, and we want to be available as much as we can to be able to answer stuff that while you guys are moving over to our system. So this is what our software looks like. I want to draw a note and say that it is fully responsive. So on your phone, we have apps in the App Store. You'll see it something like this on your phone, and then on your computer or your tablet, you'll see it, in its full size view. I'll start by diving into the bed management system, since that's typically the one of the most important pieces of the management of the recovery home. You've got your houses over here on the left. You set up all your locations here. When you onboard, we're going to walk you through the process step by step to make sure the onboarding is smooth. We will be migrating a lot of the data from ARMS, and we'll have more on that as we move forward through the process. So you can see all your homes very easily and see who's in what room, and then also move people from room to room. So that's a really easy way to manage all your homes. You might be used to using a whiteboard or something like that. We also offer this view here, which is more of a kind of a easy, quick view to see openings over time. You'll be able to move forward in time and see those openings and see what beds are empty. So on the admission side, when you guys come on board, we'll coordinate with you to help set up your application form. You can have one or more application forms. This application form is customizable. We built in a lot of the kinds of questions that we saw people asking over the years. So you can also just select our questions from this question library. And then if there's a section where you want something else to be asked, you can add your own custom questions here. So this is a really powerful feature, and it looks something like this. So when it's on your website, you'll be able to see, and here's me adding questions so you can see how it appears when you're building out your application form. You link this from your website, and then when someone fills that out, they will appear in here as a new applicant. So you'll get a notification. You or one or more people from your organization can get a notification for these applicants that come in here. And then you'll be able to work them through your admissions process. So your admissions process, this is also customizable. I'm not going to overwhelm with details today just because this is the first conversation about this. But lots of our parts of our product are customizable. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of that in the future. But basically, there's a structured workflow here to help keep a standardized admissions process. You'll assign beds, you'll add contacts maybe, you'll have people sign agreements, you can collect payments, all of that done through this system. And let me go to a accepted client. So the two phases of it are accepted and then you admit, because sometimes there's a little bit of a delay between somebody wanting to come to your program, you feeling that they qualify to join your program, and then they actually show up at the door. That might be a few days later or a week or whatever it may be. So you have a secondary step called the admit step. So when you admit a client, that's when you actually put them in your program. There's a required step. So there's a demo of the required fields. So we have to get an agreement. So we will help you build out all your agreements. These are examples of what those might be. Once you have those agreements signed and you complete this step, then we can go down to here to admit Bob. So any questions on bed management or admissions? Or the application form? Or anything, really? Nope. Okay. Don't be shy, but I'll continue on. But feel free to chime in if anyone has any questions. So inside of a Behave client record, I will show you one. There are many different capabilities inside of here. So all of the data you gather during admissions rolls over to a current client, and then same with when you discharge a client and they become a past client, all the data persists through all those different stages of the client journey. So here you have, our system has a lot of capabilities. To-do management, you can assign clients to-dos. We have a whole client portal, which contains all the, let me just pull that up here. So we have a client portal, which you will see here. Just get into my account here. And refresh. So there's also apps in the App Store for the client portal as well. Same thing. It's available on mobile devices, so it looks more like something like this. And in here, if you, for example, create a to-do and assign it to a client from your side, they would see it on their side. So it's a great way to interact with your clients and help keep them accountable to different things that they have to do. Same with the calendar. A client event can be shared through the client portal as well. So, and the way you invite people to the portal is this page. So you can invite people to the portal. If they have trouble accessing the portal, you're able to, revoke or reset their client access. So this is a pretty important one in case clients have trouble getting in there. We have custom forms, lots of data in here of different types. You got that application form, agreements that you sign. So all sorts of things in here. Any questions on any of this stuff?
So
I think I saw
see,
payment management.
Yep.
I think I saw that, right? Payment or invoices or.
Yep. So we have
Okay.
a built in. So you can add charges, take payments through our system.
is that included with what the state is paying for the financial piece, or is there an additional
This is an
charge for
add-on.
the financial? Okay,
Yeah, this is an add-on.
okay. And
So
then do you also have the ability to bill Medicaid through the system as
yeah,
well?
so
Okay,
yes, so we have, so this is the an account that for like recovery residents, we have a full electronic health record system, and that's the core, the Behave Health serves lots of different kind of segments of this market. So kind of one of the unique things is that you can add up, if you have a recovery community organization and you want to add peer support, you want to build Medicaid, we can enable that. If you have a full treatment center, we can enable that as well through our system. So you don't have to keep using many different tools to do all this stuff. You could use just one. It might be separate accounts depending on the configuration of the organization, and we'll help guide you guys through that if that's of interest.
awesome.
So
I see that there is a chat function with the program.
yes,
So what does that kind of
yep.
entail?
So our chat system, and this is one of the areas where we have plans this year, the first half of this year, to focus and update. Right now, what it does is it's good at sending out client blasts. So if you want to send out an alert to everybody, you can select a bunch of clients from a certain program or a certain location. And then you could send out like a notification, a message blast to them saying, hey, there's a barbecue at the park this weekend, that type of thing. And it will create those messages and send them out. They'll get an alert, email or text message, and then they can click that link and see that message. We are gonna improve this and overhaul all of our messaging as a part of this year's roadmap. So that's something to look forward to. And then staff chat as well will get an overhaul. This is an internal chat system as well.
I have a question. We still have to go through our PHIP to actually access the Medicaid system?
So that is a good question. The PHIP meaning
Our prepaid inpatient health plan in our region?
yeah. So the last time we looked into this, we needed some payer IDs. If you happen to have the payer IDs and you could share those with us, that's what we need in order to connect to get our clearinghouse to confirm that we can send transactions through to the to that specific payer. If you have, I don't know if you happen to have those. We spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago. I don't think we got the payer ID specifically then. So that's what we're looking for, and we would love to be able to answer that question.
Okay.
So if anybody,
I don't have a payer ID, so I'm gonna have to get one, is what you're saying.
no, if you're sending claims into to Medicaid currently, there is a payer ID somewhere in your records. Basically, it's
Yeah.
a question. So if you have a bill, do you have a biller, a specialist biller who does that for you?
No, we haven't even started doing the billing for Medicaid. We want to, and that's why I'm asking, because we've been told we have to go through our PHIP.
Okay, yeah, we're happy to help with that, especially for MARR as a whole, if that's an objective. We're happy to partner with you all to figure this out and make sure it can work.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
And now, does this have the geolocations capability?
Yep.
We've spoken about that before. So what does
Yes.
that look like?
Yep. So location tracking. So on the client portal side, they can go to location check-in. They can also hit this button right here. This is like a check-in tool. They have to share their location, which is something that, on the device they could restrict. So that's one thing to note. But if they do share their location, they will have a little pin drop in here and you'll be able to see them. And then they can also pick the location, organization, or the meeting location if it's not in one of those lists and say, I was at the church and it was a meeting. And then they could find the address and manually upload it. But if they do share their location, then they will appear as a pin here on the map.
Okay. Does that somehow go into a chart or a report? Because I know a lot of people have to get like a signature if they go to a meeting. So if they wanted to use this to replace that, where would they?
So you can report on it. So at the client level, but then also in our reports page, you have, let me see. There it is. So you'll have this, which is, every single check-in inside the account. And you'll be able to export that to CSV file. And then you can also apply filters to it. From any of the columns, there's different filters that you can apply. So you can get just if there's a time thing, if you just want the last week of check-ins, you could pull that report.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, let me show you all the UA tests. It's an important one. So you can store your UA test, your breathalyzers in here. You can, store the results. You can also upload an image of the UA test cup. Sometimes people do that for records. And then depending on how your compliance requirements are, you can also capture signatures for that if that's required for you all. And then for breathalyzers, very similar. Similar functionality. And this one has the result value as well. And then as well, medications are in here. So this is different in every place, every organization is slightly different how they take responsibility for this. You do have the capability of capturing the meds that they're on, whether active or inactive. Then also you can do logs if that's something that you all do, as well as destruction logs and incident logs if those are relevant. And then you can also add this capability for the client. So if it's a self-administration of medication scenario, then you'll be able to turn this on or off for them, depending on what you all do as a matter of policy. And that's all controlled here. in your client portal permissions. So you set up and you can change, any of the permissions for any of the, for the different features that we have in the product so that you have exactly what you want for the clients to see.
Mhm.
And that
Is
also,
oops. I was
oh,
just gonna
yeah.
say, is there like a general template for permissions for the clients and then you would adjust it, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think it starts with default off, just because
Okay.
we don't want to, we want customers to decide that. And then, yeah, you can edit it. And then there is a default, I guess, with the reset the default button here.
Okay.
But then on this the more extensive side is the staff side permission. So this is for who has access to your staff side account. So this is, you can create your own custom templates here. Every feature in Behave Health has controls on it. So there's view, edit, create, and delete. And then also in some cases like this one, there's special controls for certain features that are, unique to that feature. So we also have some templates that we do import into accounts by default. Then you can override those templates or just create your own. And then the way that they get applied is that you can see actually permissions very easily through our system. So you can go to your staff list, you can select the staff member, see what they have. You can edit that permission, or you can apply a template. So you can go and if you update the template, then you can apply that template here. So that's a really fast way to do the edit, changing permissions. And then you also can select multiple staff members and apply the permissions in bulk. So that's a really fast way of doing it. So you can, if you make a decision and you change some permissions and you have lots of staff, you can quickly apply those permissions across all your staff members. And then the other dimension which we allow for control is on the staff access lists. So let me go to the main page for this. So staff access lists are, so if you want to give, certain staff access to certain clients, you can do so through this feature. So you can choose restricted access to selected clients. And then we recently released an update that makes this even easier to manage. So we take your program assignments and your and then the program the housing assignments. So if there's a client in a bed or there's a client attached to a program, our system says that the staff member who is managing that location or managing that program should probably be granted access to that client. So that's what this feature does. So you can see what the assignments are, and then quickly, if there are issues you want to resolve, there's a one button fix. So you grant everybody access to, all the clients access for the staff member. So this is a way of controlling, granularly who can access what records. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this because I was just thinking about how you said IOP, like all of our therapists and stuff, are they going to be able to use this for their clients who aren't in recovery housing, or is this going to be an addition? Because they're using a different medical record, so then they would have to keep track of two. So I just didn't know if that would be something that they would be able to work on with their own clients as well.
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. The context for this is a part of MARR and the recovery resident side specifically. So if your organization does want to use more of the capabilities of the product, it's certainly something that we can talk about. It's an optional kind of thing that an add-on. So we're really happy, we're happy to talk about that. It is capable of doing those things. So,
And then my other question was, I put it in the chat, but I don't think you saw it.
okay.
Is say someone puts in their application and we call and we do a phone screening, but we determine that they do not qualify for our program. Would that screening and that determination also live in an application that someone did not bring in, and that would be stored on here as well?
Yep, that's what this
Okay.
declined clients is for. It's exactly that. So,
Okay, perfect. I didn't see that.
yep. So when you go through the admissions as accept or admit, you can then instead decline the client. And then I should note as well, I know I'm running up against the clock here, two more things. When you have a client in the past, oftentimes they readmit. You can readmit them in our system too. You don't have to create a new client record. You can just readmit them. It will create another episode, a new bed assignment, and all those things. And you can also move them right back into the admissions process. So if you actually want to run them through accept and admit like the standard way, you can hit that button and send them back there, or you can just readmit them back to be a current client directly.
And so this provides us with all the documents that you guys need. So we wouldn't need to like upload any of our own documents if this is everything that you guys need, or would we still need to?
So when we onboard, we have you all bring us, what you're currently using for documentation. And then there's a section here called onboarding files. So in organization templates, this is where you would upload like your application form, your intake documents, the things that you use today to operate. And then we're going to implement those in our system. So we don't provide, because there's, legal liability around that stuff. So we need customers to provide us that stuff, and we will do the work to implement it and to turn it into the digital records.
Thank you. And then one more question. I'm so
Uh-huh.
sorry to pester you. I know that she mentioned, I think it was Kelly who had mentioned about being able to this app being free or having to purchase add-ons for like the billing and also program fees, or what we call rent is what we call program fees. Do you know how much those add-ons would be and which add-ons we would be looking at?
Yeah, so we can definitely give you a price quote for that. So the core product is purchased by MARR for all of the recovery residences. We can give you price quotes for those other pieces. Jen, how did we do it last time? Because I know everybody has different needs, so it's hard to do it as a blanket thing. So we typically wait for people to ask us, and then we provide them that information.
Correct. Yeah, when we're ready to go live, we send out the initial information to get everybody into their account, and then what the financial cost would be for the finance add-on. We call it a client RCM for the supportive housing, and then we can put a little notation in there if you're interested in an add-on for peer support services, for example, or any clinical like the full EHR. I'm happy to provide a separate quote for that. That would be a separate account.
To make it clear, so that everybody understands, Behave Health is the platform on which RecCap is going to live in. And so Michigan, the state of Michigan, has picked up the tab for everybody to have the basic Behave Health platform that would include the RecCap at no additional charge. So in addition to what the state's paying for, there are other things that are targeted for operators of recovery residences that you may want to add on to, but you're not required to add on to any of those.
Thank you for that clarification, because I was going to say, is there a penalty for not getting any of these? Because as we know, we went away from staffing grants and are now fee for service. So
yeah.
Yep. And this is the new rec cap. There's your kind of your source data underneath the charts and graphs. And so wanted to share this with you. There's a few, it's mostly the same. This is the newer version. We will be all your legacy, current, previous rec caps and historicals will be imported as well, and processed and show up here under the client records. So there'll be continuity there. And then, so I want to show you this. And then if you have any questions, to the best of my ability, I can answer those. But it's mostly in line with what you guys are doing. And then we've incorporated some of the feedback that they've gotten over the years for, improvements to some of the processes and some of the UI of the tool.
And in addition, I just want to remind everyone that the state of Michigan has also provided $300 per registered address as a reimbursement to purchase a piece of equipment to complete the evaluations in the home for individuals that don't have, a phone or access to computer, whatever. So if once we get to that process, we can send you out a voucher. And that's helped quite a few people, especially when folks are first coming in and don't really have anything quite yet. They'd be able to use that equipment right in the home. They'd have access to that.
Okay. Perfect. Well, this will only be the first of many conversations, so I'm looking forward to chatting with you all again in the future as we continue forward.
Yeah. Let me give a 10-second thing and then thank you, Ben, and thank you, Jennifer, for showing up here.
Of course.
One of the things I wanted to add from the NAR level, the national level, is that NAR is also entering into a contract with Behave Health. So we're trying to collectively, nationally, also in the state of Michigan, collect data. And Behave Health, I did not do the due diligence, but compared to our prior provider, we're now dealing with a Cadillac provider.
I appreciate,
So
I appreciate
call Ben Sunday morning around 5 a.m. That's the best time to get a hold of him. If you need anything, he's the guy who does it.
West Coast.
Exactly. Yeah.
California, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Appreciate
so
that. Thank you all. Thanks for having us.
Unless anybody has any other questions, I think we can move on to Rachel and Lori. Or either one of Rachel. I see Rachel here somewhere.
Yes.
There
Hi,
you
Jeff.
are.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
And Lori's here with me too.
Okay, so you guys are going to talk about workforce development, which has a big price tag of $0 on it.
Yes, sir.
And the stage is yours.
Fletcher Group, we're both with Fletcher Group. We're a national nonprofit, if you're not familiar with us, we are primarily grant funded through a HRSA grant that covers technical assistance for rural recovery houses. So HRSA, Jeff is right, it is free to our clients that are in a defined rural area by HRSA. If you're not in that rural area, we can still supply it, but we would have to cover our costs. So for anyone who's in that rural area, all we need to do, we can do a quick check. You can send me your address and we can tell you immediately if you're eligible for that. But we have a ton of resources that are free, even if you're not in a rural area. We have an online learning center. We have webinars once a month, and we're happy to set up at least one meeting with you and just go over those resources, even if you're in that urban area that our grant doesn't cover. Because we recognize, there's so much out there, and we would love to help you get started. But today, yes, like Jeff said, we're going to focus on workforce development, and Lori's with me. She's our director of workforce development at Fletcher Group, and she's going to tell you about our newest program.
Yeah, so very nice to meet everyone. So just to kind of, piggyback off of what Rachel has already said, as part of one of our HRSA initiatives, through some prior work that we had done under some grant funding, we realized that there was a great need for just some general employment coach training. And by that, it doesn't mean that you necessarily need that defined role specifically into your facility. It could be someone who is working directly with residents or individuals who may be at that phase of recovery and ready to kind of explore some upskilling, some training, connecting with employers, things like that. So we offer an employment coach training academy. It runs on a 12-week basis. So with that, you kind of get 12 weeks of group meetings with other participants in the cohort and me, covering several different topics. And I can try to share my screen here in a minute and kind of show you the outline of those topics. But in addition to that, if you're in that rural area, then we also do weekly one-on-one sessions with you to talk about your area specifically, because we know that all over the U.S., some of the resources that are available are pretty standard because they're federal resources, but every community kind of has its own flavor of things that have been added through additional grant funding, or, basically this is just kind of a little boot camp to kind of get you thinking on, for one, how do we identify with clients and really kind of get them motivated for that workforce piece. Who do we connect with within our communities? What relationships can we build? What resources are available out there? And then how do we track the data that could be so valuable to us moving forward, whether it's just for internal use to kind of improve our programs, or, can we use some of this data to apply for additional grant funding to support this effort? Just a lot of different ways that you can use things that you may want to track. And our research team participates in that part as well, to kind of help you determine, what types of things do you need to be collecting for your facility. It does not need to be a residential facility. RCOs are welcome, recovery cafes, anyone who has that direct relationship with clients who are at the phase of recovery that they are ready to start exploring these things. We welcome anyone. And just like Rachael said, it's free for individuals or facilities that reside in those rural communities. Outside of the rural communities, you would be eligible to attend the monthly group or the weekly group sessions. If you wanted that one-on-one kind of, hey, can you help us look in our neighborhood and see who we can connect with and how we connect with these people, and how do we make it one big network, then, we would be happy to discuss that with you as well. But like I said, it's completely free of charge. And, I think we're coming up on our 4th cohort of this training. We did a pilot last year, starting in January, and had a lot of success with that. So we just felt it was important, and something that maybe, some of you folks could benefit from, and most definitely at the end of the day, the people that you serve. So if you would be interested in that, you are welcome to email me. I can also check your location to see if you're rural and would fall under that umbrella. If not, we're not going to kick you out, because we still just want to help people at the end of the day. It's just for additional services, they may not be covered under the grant, but you're definitely always welcome to join those weekly sessions. And so, if anyone has any questions about that, I'd be more than happy. I'll see if I can share my screen. It's been a bit since I've used Zoom, so I apologize, but I'll let you kind of look at that timeline. This isn't very pretty, but it gets us there. So let me see if I can pull it up. I think so.
There's a
Can you all
question,
see that?
Lori. Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I just had a quick question, which is,
Sure.
if I recall correctly, your HRSA grant required me to give a zip code to see whether I qualified to be a rural area, right?
Yeah, and actually your specific address would be fantastic, right, because sometimes we have areas that may be partially rural or partially, a certain county may be rural with areas that aren't within it. We get some weird things. So if you could just give me your exact address, that would be the most accurate way.
Yeah. And I know Petoskey, Michigan qualifies already.
Good.
Okay. Put
So
our addresses in the chat. So yes, feel free to email us. If you would like to put your addresses in the chat, I can check them while we're on here. So go ahead, Lori.
No problem. So this is just a very general overview kind of the week by week group sessions that we do. I won't read those word for word, but just to give you an idea of kind of the flow of the training. And then, like I said, we also do those one-on-one weekly meetings with the facility. And even if you have multiple locations, let's say you had 3 locations under your umbrella of the organization that you're working for, what I would typically do in that case is just meet with everyone within your organization on that one weekly one-on-one. So let's say you had 5 locations and you wanted someone from each of those facilities to be in the training, then I would meet with the 5 of them for an hour-ish each week. And then they would also kind of be in that group training. And you will see here, it kind of goes to weeks 2 and 3, weeks 4 and 5, kind of depending on the overall knowledge assessment of the group. We sometimes space things out. Once they get a lot of information, we may stretch that out to every 2 weeks for a group meeting, because I like to give them time to go out into their communities and kind of try to apply some of these things or gather some data. I don't want to take up an hour when that's an hour that they could be serving a client or making a connection in the community. So I just kind of, I just kind of see where everyone is. And then if I feel like it's more beneficial for them to kind of actually be out working on some of this stuff, then I may say, hey, we're going to go to 2 weeks and then we'll meet together as a group every 2 weeks. But that weekly check-in is pretty consistent. And then also I'm available. People are all different levels. And if it's a newer facility that hasn't really made a ton of connections in the region, I'm happy to hop on those meetings as well. So let's say we're going to call the local career center and talk about WIOA funding for some of the clients, and maybe that's something your facility hasn't really had a chance to delve into just yet. I would be more than happy to hop on those meetings with them and kind of, guide that and say, here's kind of what some other facilities have done. Is this something that you would be able to provide to this facility? And that way they're just kind of not on their own out there, just kind of throwing darts, It really is kind of a hand holding side by side until at the end, hopefully they have a pretty solid toolkit that they can use moving forward so that every client can take advantage of all the benefits that are out there. And employment is just a really, we all know is so important before they transition, knowing that they have that career pathway. And that's really what we focus on, is helping them move into a career, something that they're passionate about, that's meaningful to them, that's going to help them be self-sustaining. We encourage that short-term trainings. How do we upskill them and get their foot into the door of a dream path, of a dream career? What do they want to be? How do we get you to that first step before you exit the facility? And there's a lot of really creative ways to do that. We also cover some social enterprise stuff. So if anyone's interested in that, and as well as entrepreneurship for your clients, is another piece of that. So I'm going to try to stop share. I'm going to pause share. Everybody have a chance to look at this. I think at the bottom, I just have an additional little blurb about those weekly one-on-one sessions. But if you or someone has an interest in this and they want to hop in, our next class will start mid-April. Right now, we do a research component on this that is de-identified information and some surveys for the house, for the employment coach, and then some clients that they serve once they complete the training. So we do have a letter of support that, we ask if you wouldn't mind to fill that out for us, and we will submit that to IRB. But with that, we give you all of the data that's collected from your facilities and help you build your own surveys moving forward so you can continue to track your outcomes. So outside of that, I just need the name and the contact information for the person you would like to participate, and I will reach out to them and we'll have a kickoff meeting the second week of April, and we will be rolling.
Well, I just checked 3 addresses, and all 3 that you all submitted do qualify as rural. So that's exciting. Yeah, definitely reach out.
Yeah. And if not this cohort, they're ongoing every 12 weeks. So let's say if you're not quite ready just yet, reach out to me and say, hey, we would like to do this in the summer, or we'd like to do this in the fall. And that's perfectly fine too. No pressure. I know it's kind of short notice for April, but just know that these are always going on. And so you can email me anytime. And if you hire new people and say, hey, we've got 2 more people that might could benefit from this training, please reach out to me because we'd be glad to include them in the next round. Our goal is just to get as much information out there as possible, so it's not so overwhelming, because we know people have so much that they are working on just in that recovery program, and sometimes the workforce is hard to fit into that. But hopefully we'll give you some tips and tricks that might make that a little bit easier.
Yeah, and if you feel like Lori said, you're interested, but you'd like to wait, please do go ahead and email us anyway. We can confirm your role status and put you on a list. So when it starts to roll around, we'll reach out.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Also, these folks did the environmental survey for free, and then they did the economic analysis for free. So they work in the nonprofit space. They're here to help. They do wonderful work. They cost nothing.
And again, like Jeff mentioned, that since you all did participate in that fiscal landscape survey, if there's anyone that didn't follow through with the return on investment calculator, we're still happy to do that. It's not too late. Whether you're urban or rural, because of that survey, you would all fall under eligibility there, and we'd be happy to complete that for any of your facilities. So please reach out, let me know. Like I said, we have a ton of other free resources as well.
These are exactly the type of supporting evidence that you would use or any advocate would use asking for any type of funding. So that's the
Absolutely.
difference here, folks. It's like you really, I would suggest that anybody on this phone call that hasn't already looked and see what the Fletcher Group can bring, I would suggest that you do that, reach out to them. I know that the return on investment over, I think it was 10 years, was $74 for every dollar invested in recovery supports in the state of Michigan. So I've used that on occasion in talking to the state and federal people, and I'm thinking everybody here could talk to their county or their city or whomever and say, you know, folks, this works, it's cheap, and did I mention that it works?
Yeah, those are great figures to include in any kind of your grant,
Yeah.
any kind of grant writing. They love to see those numbers.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about the workforce development or about the work that we do? All right. Well, Lori, you did a really good job. You answered every single question.
I'm a fast talker. I apologize.
You got it all in. Great.
But
Great.
I hopefully I will see some of you in the future, or at least some folks that maybe you recommend. I would love to. And then just in terms of general workforce development, if there's outside of the training, I'm always available to talk to you one-on-one. So let's say, you know, you want some help creating some pipelines where you are or something like that. You know, we don't do just the employment coach training. We do true workforce development for individuals in recovery in the facilities and all of the points that they touch. So I could go on and on for hours, but if you need some help in that area, I'm always available. You just shoot me an email and we'll get a meeting set up to see what we can do to help you out. Okay.
Thank you so
Lori's
much.
amazingly
All
creative
right.
at her social enterprise too. So yeah, just got
We love social enterprises and we love entrepreneurship too. So one thing we found early on, because I had never crossed my mind, but there are so many brilliant minds in these recovery centers with fantastic business ideas. So we can even hook you up with a training for your facility for clients who want to start their own business. We developed kind of a recovery entrepreneurship elevating lives initiative in Kentucky. We even ended up, this would be really cool for you all since you're a whole group across the state, but we did a training and then each participating facility had a group of like 5 people who just developed a business idea for their facility to be a social enterprise. And then we did Shark Tank top competitions. This was all during COVID when we were all just bored to death. And this was a really great way to spend our time. But honestly, some of those business ideas were phenomenal and so good, in fact, that we're able to get those funded. So, you know, even on a state level, if you all think, okay, I know some really creative people in my facility who would love to develop a business. You don't have to actually implement it, but maybe it's just giving them the practice to go out and develop their own business. We could definitely set something up like that. And, you know, get them trained on how to be business owners and maybe even come up with a great idea for an additional revenue stream for your facility. So there's lots of creative ways out there that we can do workforce development. So you just message me and we can talk about it for as long as you want to talk about it. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. All right. Well, thank you all for allowing us some time today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you,
See you
ladies.
soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Catherine, I think the meeting is back at you now.
Back at me. I thought the whole
Yeah.
thing was going to be taken up with speakers.
I know we ended 11 minutes early.
Yeah. So this actually the meeting's for you guys. So we don't normally have 2 speakers on in one session, but we had an opportunity. We thought the exhibition. So for the rest of the meeting, is there anybody that has anything they want to talk about? 4 o'clock is a reminder. 4 o'clock is the lessons learned. Whoever wants to stay on board, this is just going to go right into that. You're welcome to stay on board. It's not mandatory. but everyone's input's important. You know, we've got a lot of seasoned workers on here that been there, done that, and I don't think it matters how long you've been doing this. There's always something else to learn. So, but in the meantime, anybody have anything they want to bring up?
I have a question, Miss Catherine.
And
This
this
is
is a
Cynthia.
video. Who?
Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Cynthia Simmons Wilson.
Hi, Cynthia. What's up?
Hi, how you doing? Hi,
Good.
everybody. I had a question I put in the chat. Was the Behave Health program mandatory for the MARR's participants or no?
The MARR certification is going to require RECCAP. The vehicle or the platform that RECCAP is available is going to be Behave Health.
We understand that there are some special circumstances. You might not be able to do the full RECCAP Behave Health system. We understand that, but with assistance, there's no reason why everybody can't participate in it and at least do some of the stuff. I forget, what do you call it, Kelly? It's the onboarding.
For the so essentially it's requiring completion of the RECCAP evaluation. You can choose which other aspects of the system functionality that you would like to use, but when something is free and it's giving you a holistic way of completing your workflow, we just really want to reiterate how beneficial it is for the not only the operators but for the clients, because this is the information that we are being asked to provide to reinforce the need for funding.
By the state,
different situation for the state, for sure. So, you know, when they're asking operators or MARR or NAR, you know, at a national level, this is what they want. They want outcomes, they want information, and it's going to be a requirement that the RECCAP evaluation minimally is completed. And you know, one of the main things about moving to a new platform is the additional functionality, which I wanted to make sure we pointed out, the operators have been asking for throughout the process of using ARMS and RECCAP. We wanted geolocation, we wanted messaging, you know, all these additional things in this, Behave provides it. So the RECCAP evaluation is something that is going to be required. And that's, you know, where we're at right now. The functionality of the system provides client management. You know, you can choose to use it for your financials. So it's a win-win. It's free aside from the financials, and it's giving us the information that not only is needed state, but also nationally. So,
and my understanding is it may be part of the contracts. So the operators, when you have a contract with an entity, a CMH or PIHP, my understanding from the state is that they're mandating that it be part of the contract that you participate in this.
And to be real clear,
information to take back to my superiors.
Gotcha.
Sure.
You know, okay. I appreciate your answer. Thank you so much.
And to be clear, Cynthia, the ARMS platform, that's not required. It's just the RECCAP assessment. That test doesn't take much time. It's basically you give it to the resident on day one or within the first 72 hours. You sit them down. It takes a half hour to fill it. They're probably not going to answer any question. Then you just need to take it back. So it's not asking for a ton of staff time. And the results are really needed because at any level of funding, whether it's national, federal, state, local, you're talking to your neighbor, you need to be able to show, hey, here are my results, here are my outcomes. So that's why it's a top-down effort led by the national people saying we need to get all of this data. And we have the perfect vehicle to do that with. And now, and the platform operator is top notch. Behave Health has a fantastic reputation. and they're going to cost you $0 initially, and that'll be for the first 12 months. So it'll be $0, and you're going to have access to what's in their basic program plus the rec cap assessment instrument. You want to add anything else on that, you go ahead and do that. You don't need to. It's up to you.
And this is something that the resident can take with them when they leave. So again, we got to think of the bigger picture. This is, you want to make a difference in the people's lives that come through your door, right? There should be a bigger reason why you're doing this, and it's to help people and make a difference. So this is a tool that they can take with them when they leave your recovery home. And they can keep up on their recovery capital and while they're gone. And if they do end up back in a recovery residence again, that stuff that they have with them, the operator, you can get them right back on board. But it's a tool that the resident will be able to use and should be very beneficial for them. So,
and remember as well, the first evaluation, we do ask that you sit down with your clients, because 99% of the time you're already doing that. You're sitting down, you're doing paperwork, you're asking them questions. A lot of the questions in the evaluation hit on a lot of the questions, the pre-admission questions that we see turned in for people. So it's really not a huge time commitment. And if they get through that first 72-hour completion, any subsequent evaluations they are able to do on their own. There is, the client portal, they have their own app, they're able to access their own information, they're able to message within the home. The geolocation is huge. I know that there's a lot of people that were asking that in the previous system, but just keep that in the back of your mind too. It's not, I understand that change is difficult, and I understand that if you haven't done it, you just don't know. But if you're going to sit down with someone, do an intake, complete the evaluation from there, they can do their own, subsequent evaluations. It's not going to require you to do that with them. Some people, you'll be able to judge if that's something that you want to sit down with them, and maybe they do need some extra help. And it's a great tool to sit down and have those conversations and, saying, hey, this is where we started, this is where we're at, what are you thinking? Type of thing. So Hurt had some great feedback, had an operator ask, hey, what can we provide to a grant provider, telling them that we're doing a good job? Well, pull a report out of, the Behave Health, of what you're doing in your program, and show it to them. So it's a great system. Super excited with the additional functionality. I know just from working with everyone that these are the things that everyone has asked be added, that they would like to have in the system. And again, it's free. So it's a great system. Really excited to be getting going on it.
yeah,
One
many
last
operators.
One last thing, the NAR the RecCap dashboard shows me on a collective basis, here's what all you folks are doing and the results of that. And you'd be really surprised. You know what the average increase in recovery capital is if you're in a MARR certified recovery residence in the state of Michigan after 90 days? You've gone up a significant amount. You know what I'm not going to tell you the answer. You got to find out for yourself.
Come on.
It's more than 50%. And the average barriers to recovery, which is the other thing that they look at, instead of saying, oh, gee, we're doing better, I can actually say it went from 3.5 down to 0. After 90 days, your average barriers to recovery in a Michigan certified recovery residence goes from 3.5 down to 0. The positive increase in recovery capital goes up by more than 50%. These are dollars well spent. We can show the Fletcher group, here's something that shows an economic calculator that shows here's the value, just hard dollars out of pocket, less expenses, more taxes received. $74 for every buck invested over 10 years, 74 to 1.
So we got another question. Jason DeBeck put, it's free for 12 months or for the duration while we use RecCap.
It'll be free for at least 12 months. And that is funding dependent, Jason. And so I anticipate that the state of Michigan will be likely extending that based upon the fact that they've given it to the MARR operators for free for 2 years, now a third year, and so and it's valuable. So unless Elon Musk comes and says no more, I anticipate that 12 months from now we'll have another contract that will include rec cap, and I anticipate that it'll be through Behave Health.
And you know, a lot of areas every year they have an RFP, you know, request for proposal for continuing on your contract. So what a wonderful thing you can put in your RFP that, hey, here's my numbers, here's what my program provides for these individuals, so they can help them see the value in what you're bringing. So it's really can't put a price on it. And we're not putting a price on it right now, right? It's free. So
Exactly.
Please take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you. We're going into